Hello everyone, today I will be presenting my designs for the circuit and interaction project. In this project, we explore and experiment the relationship between data and interaction by creating simple wearable and non-wearable interactive affordance-based circuits. We will be using conductive materials which will culminate in a final design, and in this presentation I'll be going through the process and the understanding of all my concepts and ideas. I will also be going through the process and the obstacles I encountered while creating this project and how I overcame them. So, for my final design here, we have a simple wearable light up circuit, and in this, I have a YouTube video on how it works. So, if you see here, essentially, when I put them on, the skin of my face conducts the circuit, which allows the LED lights to turn on. And when I take it off, the light also turns off as the circuit is now closed. It's a relatively simple design that I created, and I'll be going over how I came up with it in this next area. Here I have my final design for my non wearable. This is a simple light up book circuit. So if I was to show this in video form here, essentially the light is on as the circuit is currently contacted, but when you open it, the circuit turns off as the contact is then broken. And the design acts kind of similar to like a bookmark, which was the main idea I was going for. Here is my design statement. The purpose of this project was to create simple affordance based interactions for both a wearable and a non wearable device. With this objective in mind, I decided to create light up circuits with a paperback book and a sunglasses circuit for my wearable device. Now I will be going through my design process and research. So this was the initial form storming we did in activity 1. Here you can see that we have the materials and the design kit provided by MacTech. And then using those materials, I was able to create a simple paper circuit. And using the Makey, I was able to create this circuit where I was able to play keys on an interactive piano. Here are just a few more examples of that. Most of this will be shown on my final website. And over here we have the objects that I've tested for activity 2. And here are some sketches that are based on some of the ideas that I had. So here we have one for a shoe, a coffee mug, a book, sunglasses, and a drawer circuit. After doing the form storming, the ideas that I decided to go through with were these old contact glasses that I had, ironically, from Sheridan's college campus from an old tour. And for the non-wearable, I decided to use a paperback book to create a affordance-based circuit. When doing exploration for my designs, I decided to look through the tutorials that were posted for Module 1, and that gave me a lot of guidance on how the circuits and the batteries all work together and how to create a conduction. I also watched online tutorials to give me an idea of what I could create, and this was the first step I started for building my designs. So here is a process for my non-wearable design. Here I created an online concept with Photoshop and Illustrator, showing a potential way that I could create a circuit for my book where I would have a positive battery on the left side and a negative on the right side, which would then conduct these LED lights in the middle. Here is the same concept but drawn up. So as you can see, you would have parallel tape running to create an electrical connection. Here is the similar concept but with added labels. Over here, as I started building my circuit, I had the copper tape added to both the left and right pages. Then I taped the positive battery to create a charge for the circuit. And then I put the LED light on on the right side, which allowed for it to turn on, as you saw in the video earlier. Moving on to my next one, this is for the sunglasses circuit. The idea that I got initially for creating contact glasses was because I was getting ads for the AR glasses from Ray-Ban, which are like these new high-tech AI smart glasses. And I thought it would be an interesting idea if I created a design that kind of looked similar. So I found these old glasses and I created a sketch concept in Photoshop to show how I would have essentially a battery in the middle with lights on both sides being connected by the tape. Here you can see the similar concept. And so when I created it, I first placed a battery on the bridge, and as you can see, there is tape added on both the top and the bottom to create a conduction. And then as you can see, I put the LED light and make sure that the long leg was connected to the tape and the short to the battery to create a proper connection. And then once I built it, as you saw in the video, once the user wears them, it conducts the circuit and the light turns on. The main issues that I had faced while doing this and how I overcame them was copper tape is very flimsy. It recoils like very like easily whenever you try to take it off, and it also rips off very easily. I was also just unfamiliar with like all these kind of tools and how to use them properly. Trying to come up with designs and concepts that would actually work with the materials I had, since I didn't really have much of an understanding on on circuitry or electromagnetics. So strategies I used to overcome these were watching the tutorials that were posted, which would give me like a lot of guidance and how to troubleshoot a lot. Asking peers for support on whenever I had an issue or how I could like change my design to make it work. Obviously, looking at tutorials online and sometimes consulting AI for help on certain aspects. But to reflect on some insights, I wish I had spent more time refining and adding details. I think if I had used my time better, I would have been able to experiment with more and more different ideas. Using some of the techniques that were used in the tutorials, I think would have been really useful. And some insights would be to spend more time coming up with designs, working together with other people to overcome issues. Um, Completing all activities in advance for critique is definitely very important, and watching all tutorials properly to understand the guidance. But overall, thank you for listening. Here are some of the resources I used. But thank you for listening.